So for those of you who've just joined, lying down on your back, soles of the feet flat to the earth, knees bent, palms of the hands resting on the lower rib cage, fingertips on the solar plexus, the space between the xiphoid and the belly button. And inviting yourself, giving yourself full permission, your time, your practice this morning. And I have a question for you all this morning, or a few questions really. Questions for the back of the brain. So when you hear the questions, just take them to the back of the brain, not the frontal lobe, the decision-making compass, but the back of the brain. Where does the source of who I am reside? Where does the source of who I am reside? Where do I end and the world begins? Where do I end and the world begins? Noticing the relationship of your back body to ground. Noticing how as you breathe, every exhalation allows the spine to become heavier and more in contact with the earth. The concept of today's Sema yoga class is the concept of I, in Arabic Anna, or Dhaat, self, the I or the self. And Alan Watts, he talks about this difference between the I, which is the conscious thinker, and the me, which is my nature. And how the conscious thinker, the I, is always in critique of the me, always in critique of my nature. And in that conflict is where we see ourselves as separate from our experience rather than unified. And he's a teacher of non-dualism. Many of you will have come across that before. So the invitation for today's practice is to notice, using our peripheral vision, noticing where do you feel is the core of you? And we'll be doing some core work this morning, but also the core and your central plumb line, and then where is the periphery, and is there any difference? Where do you end and where does the world begin? So from here, bringing your attention to this xiphoid process, which is the bone at the bottom of the sternum, which is the central chest bone. And then also in your mind's eye, bring your attention to your tailbone. So at the bottom of the spine, you've equally got this tiny little bone that is the coccyx, like the end. It's like the tailbone. If we were monkeys, that's where our tail would have grown out of. And from here, you can keep your hands where you are, or you can have them relaxing by your sides, and you can separate your knees if that feels more comfortable for you. We're going to take a few cat and cows, but lying flat. So it's quite a simple movement. You've done cat and cow many times before, but let me tell you this. When you round through the spine, so the movement is rounding through the spine, imagine the bottom of your chest bone comes closer to your tailbone. So it's almost like you're bringing the two bones closer together. And then as you come into inflection, sorry, they move further away. So you're just taking this movement lying flat where you're ever so subtle, like so that I can't even see it on the camera, so that you are curling in, bringing the bottom of your chest bone closer to your tailbone, shortening the distance, and then you're extending the distance, lengthening the distance as you arc the back. So it's an arcing of the back and then into full extension of the back. And it's just a really subtle movement. So taking that in your own time now. And it's this undulation of the spine. So the xiphoid process moves closer to the coccyx. You shorten that distance across the linea alba, which is the line going down the belly button, and then you extend it by tilting the pelvis and raising the heart. And then you close the gap and then you re-lengthen it. Good. So coming into kind of connection with the core. Okay. Last few moments doing that. And now the next time you start to move, just come to a place that feels like neutral. Anywhere that feels like neutral. Good. And then separate the knees, soles of the feet flat down to the ground, knees bent, and extend both arms up to the ceiling. And then we're going to do our motif, our windscreen wiper motif. So taking both palms of the hands to the elbows and then taking the arms all the way behind you so that they're resting on the floor. And then taking them over to the ground on the right, but keeping contact of the back of the upper arm with the ground. So you're sweeping the ground and then bringing them up through center across the heart space and then over to the ground on the left, so the whole of the back of the upper arm meets the ground, and then tracing the back of the upper arm all the way up overhead and then round to the right. So same movement as we were sitting up, but this time the arms as much as possible are in complete contact with the ground. So you're reaffirming this connection, this sweeping motion with the ground. And once you've done that in a few directions, just slowly, like turning a clock face, just start to rotate in the other direction. Lovely. Good. Now the next time the arms are out to one side, just lengthen both the arms out on the horizontal. So you're lying in a kind of both arms out, lying on the horizontal. Good. And then we're going to take windscreen wipers with the knees. So let both knees fall to the ground on the right. Sway both the knees to the right, rolling over the pinky edge of one foot, big toe edge of the other. It doesn't matter which direction. Back onto the soles of the feet, knees to the ceiling, and then the other side. So both knees are moving together like there was this golden string attaching the two, and you're just swaying them right and left. So waking up the hips this morning. So gentle sway one way and then the other. Good. And the next time the knees are over to the ground on the left, you can leave them there, let them sink towards the ground, and then maybe, optional, to lift up the left ankle and place it on the right thigh. So slightly lift the left ankle up and place it on the right thigh. So that the figure of, it's like a figure of four, so that the left foot is just crossed over the right thigh. Good. And that should increase the stretch. You should feel a stretch in the outer right hip and in the inner left groin. And then from there, use the big toe edge of your foot on the right, the foot that's in contact with the ground, to keep that figure of four shape and lift the legs back up to center. Yeah, that's it. So the sole of the right foot's on the ground, the left knee is pointing out to the left, and you're in this figure of four. And then take windscreen wipers again. So you're gonna, in that figure of four shape, allow the left foot that's on top to move to the ground on the right and just touch down. And then as soon as the left toes touch down, you think, nope, I'm going to go back in the other direction. You re-lift the feet, and then the left knee just kisses the ground on the left, and then re-lift. So you're rolling over the sole of the right foot on the ground, figure of four shape, and you're just taking the knees right and left, waking up the hips. Lovely. Good. So a few more times, and the more that you open that left hip, the more that you're going to come into a sensation in that left hip. And then when you're ready, find a place that feels like neutral in the center, that feels like the center of you, and then release the left foot, unravel it, sole of the left foot to the ground, and let's take the other side. So swaying first of all, knees to the ground on the right, knees through center to the ground on the left. So now uncross the legs. Yeah, that's it. Uncross the legs, back to where we were before. Yeah. Soles of the feet right, knees to the right and to the left. That's it. Good. And then the next time the knees fall over to the ground on the right, leave them there and take one fully felt breath. Deep inhale, knees on the ground on the right, deep exhale. And you need to separate the feet ever so slightly so that both knees are not on top of each other, but the feet are like sort of hip width apart, and then allow the knees to drop over to the right. Good. That's it. And now you'll have space, if you want to, yogi's choice, lifting the right ankle and just placing it on the left thigh. And if you roll over the inner edge of the left foot and allow, that's it, then that right knee can reach towards the ground. And now when you're ready, deep inhale, roll over the big toe edge of the base of the bottom foot and lift both legs. That's it, back up to center. Good. And then allow the right knee and the right hip to open out to the right. And then again, we're just going to take sways. So taking both legs over in that configuration to the left, the right top toes touch down on the ground, breathe, touch down, re-lift back to neutral, back to center, and then the right knee makes its way to the ground on the right. That's it, rolling over the edge of the bottom foot. So waking up the hips, lovely. A few more times like this, bringing your attention to the most prominent sensation you can feel in your body right now. Okay, and then the next time the legs are back to neutral, you can unravel that figure shape, extend the legs long, lengthen the legs along the mat, bring both arms, sway them up like an angel all the way to the top, and then take one long good morning stretch from the tips of the toes to the fingertips. Really stretch through the plumb line of the body. Good, and then release. Roll over onto the right side of the body. So allow the whole body to roll onto the right, and then you're coming onto your tummy. So you don't need to sit up, you're just rolling onto your tummy, and then shift yourself back into the center of your space. Let's come into Sphinx pose, coming onto the forearms, okay? So you stack your elbows underneath your shoulders, spread all 10 fingers wide, and hips are grounded on the earth, and then untuck the toes, so that feels nice. And then from here, you're just going to allow your heart to sink to the earth, just to let the heart sink. So if you need to, look to the screen, but just allowing your shoulder blades to kiss behind you and the head just falls. And that should feel really nice. Just a release for the neck. And you can sway your hips right and left a little bit to ground into both sides of the pelvis. And then come back, grounding through the forearms to somewhere that feels like neutral. And then we're just going to take that cat and cow motion again. So bring your attention to the xiphisternum, which is the tiny little bone at the bottom of the chest bone, and also to the sacrum, to the back here. And now I want you to lengthen, so you're arcing through the spine, increase the distance between the bottom of the chest bone and the pelvis, and now round through the spine, shorten that distance. Inhale, relift, and make sure that the movement is not just coming from the neck. So you're not just doing this with the neck, but you're lengthening out, drop the belly, lift the heart. Exhale, ground through the forearms and round through, and tuck chin to chest. Lovely. So just taking that a few times, cat and cow in Sphinx pose. And some of you might feel like a pinching in the lower back. If you do, maybe you could tuck the toes of the feet. Maybe that will help. Maybe that doesn't help. You can untuck. A few more times here. Lovely. Just waking up the spinal column. In yoga, Sushumna Nadi, which is basically like a snake, like the central snake of the body that marks out the kind of plumb line of the body. Good. And the next time you rock either down or up, come to somewhere that feels like neutral. Good. And then tuck the toes. Use the knees and the thighs to push your way up onto all fours, onto the forearms. Walk the knees towards the elbows, and then separate the knees, big toes touch. Take the hips back, child's pose. And let the entirety of your body rest down for a moment as you stretch out the lower back. And then when you're ready, take a deep inhale and come up, lifting the hips and the chest into all fours position. So bringing the wrists below the shoulders and the knees stacked below the hips. Lovely. From here, we're going to have the toes, maybe we'll have them, let's have them tucked for now. We're going to take big circles with the body. So what I like to do is take the fingertips out about 10 degrees to the sides of the mat, and the wrists are slightly in. And I'm going to pull my weight over the right wrist, through center, over the left wrist, and then take the left hip back towards the left heel, through center, hips towards the right heel, and then transfer the weight over the right hand. So it's quite a complicated way of just saying, swaying the body in big circles all the way around the mat. And let the neck be long, let the neck go, okay? So you're rounding the body, so you're taking the body to the right, through center, left, and then the hips come back towards the heels, through high child's pose, and then again. And the imagery here is one of like painting with the body on the ground. So closing down the eyes if it feels good for you, and picturing a canvas beneath you and noticing the connection between the eye and your immediate environment, and how you might imagine the body like a paintbrush as you paint large circles, any color you wish on the canvas. And sometimes I like to just pause in a place that feels really yummy. So if you find a little place and you think, oh, that feels really good this morning, then just pause and take a breath and then move on. Or if you haven't found anywhere that's like needs to be unstuck, then take the circles in the other direction. So this time pouring the weight over the right wrist, or right hips to right heel, through center, hips to left heel, pouring the weight through the left arm. So just circling in the other direction. And what is your breath doing? Have you noticed what your breath is doing? Where does it feel right to inhale? Where does it feel natural to exhale? Breath moves, body follows, mind observes. Lovely. Okay, the next time you come back, come to somewhere that feels like neutral. Now bring the knees to stack underneath the hips, tucking the toes, and we're going to come into some core work. Okay, so optional to leave the knees on the ground. We're going to take cat and cow. Optional to hover the knees 1 centimeter off the ground. Now, notice how you do that. The body immediately wants to tense. Soften the body. And now we'll take some cat and cows. Drop the belly, lift the heart. Exhale, ground through the hands and the tips of the toes. Belly to spine, chin tucks. Inhale, lengthen the space between the sternum and the sacrum. Exhale, shorten the space. This is really hard work. Feel free to drop the knees if you need to. Inhale, lift. Lengthen the space between the bottom of the chest bone and your tailbone. Exhale, round through. Almost there, guys. Belly to spine. Few more. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the heart. Exhale, round through. Inhale, relift. Lovely. Exhale, round. Keeping the knees hovering if you can. One more. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the heart. Exhale as you round through the spine, push through the hands, lengthen the legs, hips high, head low, downward facing dog. Taking one fully felt breath in our downward facing dog. Inhale through the nose, part the lips, exhale through the mouth. Lovely. And then drop the knees back down to ground, coming back into tabletop. From here, lower the right forearm to the ground. So now my right forearm is in contact with the ground, all 5 fingers splayed wide, and my left hand, I've got a slight bend in the elbow to support me. From here, pouring the weight slightly into the right side of the body, but being careful not to collapse into the right elbow. So having some strength in the right arm, and extend the left leg all the way back, coming onto the tips of the toes. Now, allowing the right forearm and the left hand to support you, gently allow the left leg to hover behind you and turn the toes to face forward. So turning the toes out, so you're opening out the left hip. Good. Then from here, we're bringing the knee, bending the knee of the floating leg towards the armpit as we close the space between the chest bone and the tailbone, and then we re-lengthen the leg. That's it. So I want you to start to take another version of this asymmetrical cat and cow, rounding head towards knee and then re-extending. Good. Curling in this asymmetrical shape and then re-extending the hip. Lovely. Few more times, curling in, get really, really small, rounding through and then extend, reach, one long line. Lovely. Few more times. Rounding through, extending out, and notice if you've collapsed into your right shoulder and really, really ground through so that there's space between the right shoulder and the right ear. Lovely, good, okay. And then the next time you extend the leg all the way out will be the last. And then using the force of gravity, work with gravity, re-lengthen the right arm, so you're back onto all fours, but the left leg is lifted all the way behind you. Okay, now we're going to try something. You're going to come onto your fingertips slightly, having the toes tucked of the right foot, and we're going to try and keep the left leg floating. So as you walk your hands back towards your knee, can you keep the left knee off the ground, and you're bringing it through almost as if you were going to sit. And then you're going to start to make your way all the way up. Now, if you put the foot down, it's fine, but try and balance. It's really wobbly on the left leg. And then you extend the left leg out in front of you. And then when you're ready, step the foot down. And we're coming into low lunge, using the toes like a caterpillar to move the knee ever so slightly forward. And then into low lunge. Bring both arms out on the horizontal. Take hold of both the elbows. And we'll take our windscreen wipers. Take it over to the left, up and over to the right. Taking that swaying motion and having the gaze forwards. So almost like the windscreen wipers of the car that are clearing the dust, clearing the visual space in front of you. So if you imagine you're behind your steering wheel and the arms are moving and they're wiping away any raindrops from your vision, if you soften your vision, what can you see? Good. And then a few times in the other direction. Lovely. And the next time the arms move all the way up will be the last. And then extending the fingertips out away from you as you move your torso and bend forwards over the front thigh. Now, you might want to tuck the toes of the back foot and shift the knee back an inch to give yourself more space between the front and back foot. From here, tucking the toes of the back foot, we're going to lift the back knee off the ground. Extend long between the back heel and the fingertips, so one long line of the body, and then again some strengthening exercises. So if you're feeling unstable, it might be because you don't have a large enough gap between your front and your bottom foot. So re-lengthen the leg and move it forward. When you're ready, we're going to allow the back knee to bend, meeting the ground, touching down, and then re-lengthen. bend the back knee, and re-lengthen. This is quite strong work for the front hip. Bend the back knee, and re-lengthen a few more times. Back knee comes all the way down and re-lengthen. If this is too much, allow the knee to reach the ground. Back knee touches down, re-lengthens. Back knee touches down, re-lengthens. Last time, the knee meets the ground. Right arm comes down, finds the ground, parallel to the front foot. Left palm comes onto the front thigh. And now from here, watch my hips, they gently descend. And the only reason I have this space is because there's space between my front and back foot. So allow the back knee to reach the ground. Back knee touches down. Lovely, that's it. Good. From here, using the palm on the thigh to twist towards the bent knee. And then if it feels comfortable here, taking some cat and cows. So rounding through the spine, tucking the tailbone towards the chest bone, and then re-lengthen. If you move your right arm ever so slightly out towards the right, you'll find you have even more space to open and tuck. So lengthening, finding space and that curling motion through the central line of the body, through the core, and making sure that the movement is not entirely in the neck. So you're not just cranking the neck, but you're moving. Imagine those two bones, so they're the bottom of the chest bone and the tailbone, towards each other and away, towards each other and away. Lovely. Good. Bring the left arm now, palm of the hand on the inside of the front foot, both palms on the inside of the front foot, pull the weight into the hands, send the left leg all the way back, tabletop. Now, option to do this with the knees on the ground or with the knees lifted. So level 1 will be knees on the ground, toes tucked. Level 2, extend into plank pose. From here, we're just going to lower our right forearm to the ground, left forearm to the ground, and really ground through the space between you and gravity. Push right arm back up to plank, left arm back up to plank. Good. Right forearm down, left forearm down. That's it. And then right arm up, left arm up. Good. Twice more. We can do it. Right forearm to ground, left forearm to ground, all the way back up into plank. Last time, right forearm to ground, left forearm to ground, and back up to plank. Everybody lower your knees to the ground, take the knees out to the side, big toes touch, hips back, child's pose. Good. And breathe here. Allow every breath to connect you to a sense of rest. Inhaling and exhaling. When you're ready, rolling through the spine to come back onto all fours. Separate the knees, tuck the toes, extend the arms out in front of you. Drop the belly, lift the heart, lengthening the space between the sternum, the chest bone, and the pelvis. And then with toes tucked, hips high, head low, downward facing dog. And in down dog, having a generous bend in your knees if you need to, allowing the neck to be long. And maybe in down dog, you could find the seed of a cat and a cow. Find that seed of that spinal motion. Can you bring the chest bone closer to the tailbone, and then can you relift and extend? Ever so slight motion, and make sure it's not all in the neck. How subtle can you make it so you're moving from the chest bone down to the pelvis and back up? When you're ready, bend in the knees, gaze past your fingertips where you want to go, and walk your feet towards your hands. Coming to the front of the mat, Uttanasana, forward fold. And then just allowing the arms to hang like an orangutan, letting all that tension just drip off the fingertips. And then when you're ready, rolling, coming up to stand, lower back, middle back rolls, upper back. And we're standing at the front of the mat. Now, I'm going to face you just to show you the sequence of movement, but you can face the front of your mat or the side, whatever feels good for you. Now, have the feet a little bit wider than hip width apart, okay? We're going to have some fun, some self-expression. I'm going to show you 3 movement patterns, and then we're going to kind of mix it up a little bit. So, movement pattern number 1, arms out to the side. Bend in the knees as you sweep the arms down, cross either arm in front of one another, and then take it to the hips, and it's like you're removing a t-shirt. We've all done that before, so we're all good. Arms out to the side. Let's take that again. Sweeping down, crossing over in front of each other, remove your t-shirt. Lovely. Good. Last time, arms come all the way down, cross in front of each other, remove the t-shirt. Right, second movement, turning of the wheel. So almost like you can bring your fingertips in as if you're holding onto a wheel, and you're going to take the motion towards the left. Arms come all the way over, bending the knees as you reach the extent of your lean on the right hand side, and then arms drop all the way down, and then you return the wheel. So imagine you've got like a big farmer's wheel on a tractor, and you're just kind of turning it all the way around, head really relaxed, and then back up. Good. Lovely. And then again, all the way down. And then when you reach that side, know that you can take it in the other direction. So turning the wheel all the way round, coming all the way down, bending the knees, head relaxed, and back up. Good. Third motion. So we've done removing the t-shirt, turning the wheel, and now we're going to do cinnamon roll. You know those cinnamon rolls in the bakery? We're basically going to become that. So arms are out horizontal, bending the elbows, palms to the back of the skull. You've done this movement with me many times before. I'm going to show you from the side. Bring the elbows together, rounding through the back of the neck, roll all the way down, bending the knees, upper back, middle back, lower back, tummy onto the thighs, and then you're coming up through extension. So lengthen the legs and lead from the heart as you arc all the way up. Let's take that again. Elbows towards each other, pulling up the skin on the back of the neck. Lower spine rolls, middle spine, upper spine, belly to thighs, bend in the knees, and then come up through extension. So this is cinnamon roll. The names are from my colleague and friend David Cam. So as you roll down, belly onto thighs, and then all the way up. The next time you come up will be the last. Arms out on the horizontal. Now we're going to play. So when we're ready, t-shirt off, arms come all the way down, remove the t-shirt, into the wheel, arms move all the way to the side, bend in the knees, drop the head, drop the belly, come all the way up. Cinnamon roll, bend in the arms, palms to the back of the skull, bring the elbows together, roll down sequentially like that bakery cinnamon roll, reaching the bottom, and then arc up through the spine all the way up. Arms to the horizontal, which is where they come back to, removing the t-shirt. Arms come all the way down and up. Turning the wheel, other direction. All the way up. Cinnamon roll. Good. From cinnamon roll, arms out to the side, turn the wheel. Back into cinnamon roll. Arms out horizontal, remove the t-shirt. Okay, now I'm just going to say the words, okay? Turn the wheel. Okay, now you know the movements, you can start to relax. T-shirt, wheel, t-shirt, roll, cinnamon roll. And now do whatever you like, any sequence that matters. You could turn the wheel. I know it's like, oh my God, I get to move without the yoga teacher instruction. You could turn the wheel twice. Then you could do the t-shirt, you could do the roll twice. That's it. Tabir an al Dhaat, self-expression. Play with it like a choreography. Where does the body want to move next? Which sequence does it want to do it in? How do you sync the breath? Yes, move, create, be. Sinking the breath. Lovely. Few more moments, mixing it up like a choreography into a sense of expression of the eye. Where do you move and where is your vision? How soft can you make your vision? Lovely. Beautiful. That's it. Last few moments to get really creative. Good. And we'll all meet on the horizontal, arms out wide, big, splaying out of the heart. Take the arms slightly back into an upper back bend, close the eyes. One deep breath in through the nose. Open the mouth. Exhale. And just standing for a moment, eyes closed. Before we move back into our practice, relax the arms by the side. Good. Taking the arms, removing the t-shirt, arms all the way up. Bending the elbows, arms to the back of the skull, cinnamon roll. This time making our way all the way down. Bending the knees, palms find the ground. Step the right foot back, left foot back. Into plank pose. Both knees reach the ground, knees move out to the sides, big toes touch, child's pose. Our self-expression, our sense of connectivity to the I and the me is everything that we need to direct our compass. Rolling up, keeping it moving, lift the hips, lift the chest. Take both toes out to the side, bring both knees underneath you, tuck the toes, hips high, head low, downward facing dog. Lovely. So from downward facing dog, this is layer 2 of the movement. So we're up regulating the movement. Layer 1 is with the knees on the ground. So if you want the easy version, let both knees reach the ground now. Both toes touch, both heels touch. Lower the right forearm to the ground. This is quite strong work, guys, honestly. So have a play, but don't take it too seriously, okay? So right forearm comes to the ground. Left leg sweeps up and back. Toes point towards the side, open the hip. If this is too much, drop the right knee to the ground, no big deal. Left leg all the way up, put a bend in the floating left leg, and then curl in. Xiphosternum to the coccyx, bring the knee towards the armpit, and then re-lengthen. So we're coming from split dog, knee towards the armpit, put a bend in both the elbows, and then re-lengthen. Again, you can bring the knee to the ground and do the same thing we were doing at the start. No strain in the neck. We're taking that a few times. Re-lengthen the leg, bring the knee towards the armpit, curl in, re-extend split dog. Really strong work, guys. Strong core work. Noticing not to collapse in the right elbow. Almost there. Re-lengthen. The next time the leg re-lengthens, again, ground through the right forearm, push, 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 re-lengthen the right arm, coming into split dog. So for those of you who've had your knee on the ground, re-lengthen the right leg, extend the left leg all the way back and up. From here, coming through plank pose, bend the floating knee, bring the knee towards the nose, step the foot down halfway along the mat, drop the back right knee, use the left hand to pick up the ankle and step it forward. Both arms to the hips, tuck the toes of the back foot, lift the back knee, and find a position that feels comfortable for you. Maybe you need to move the front foot forward slightly. Both arms on the horizontal, take both of the elbows, windscreen wipers, lifting the arms up, taking them to the side, through center, up and over. So from the hips downwards, you're completely stable, and let your vision be soft. Extend the vision past you into the distance. In yoga, we call it drishti in Sanskrit, which means like soft gaze. And take the arms in the other direction. Lovely. Imagine you are clearing your vision for the first time. You're able to see clearly. And what do you see? Generous bend in the front knee. Good. When you're ready, extend the arms all the way out in front of you. Tilt the torso forward over the front thigh. From here, step the back foot in slightly and walk the back foot about halfway along the mat. Now, we're coming into a warrior three play. You can keep your back foot on the ground if you like, or you can start to tilt. I'm going to move backwards a little bit to show you. So from here, you can start to lift the back foot a little bit or a lot off the ground. Coming into warrior three. Good. And then place your left hand on your zipper sternum. Find that zippy point, which is at the bottom end of the chest bone. And you can touch down the back foot if you need to find the tailbone at the back. Yes. Good. Now, if you like, re-lift the back leg and then take cat and cow. So putting a bend in both the knees, bringing both knees together, curl down, and then re-extend, lengthen. So you're shortening the distance between the chest bone and the back, and then you're re-lengthening. This is also quite strong work. That's it. So you can have your hand a little bit higher up like that, so that there's a sense of curl and extend, curl and extend. Good. Okay, and then release both the arms out to the side, lengthen the back leg, tip the torso under, warrior three. Just one balance here, or you can take the arms out long, whatever feels good for you. And then really gently put a bend in the standing leg, step the right foot back. Bring both palms on the inside of the front foot and step the left foot back. Right, if you've had enough, you can come into child's pose, or we're going to do one last core exercise. So from here, coming onto both the forearms and clasping the fingers together and lengthening the heels out towards the back of the room. All you're going to do is take a tiny rock to touch your chin onto your fingertips and back. Chin to fingertips and back. Long neck, chin to fingertips and back. I'm rocking over the toes of my back feet. It's really strong work. Chin to fingertips and back. Core work, center of me, all the way back. One last time and back. When you're ready, using the strength of the forearms on the ground, come back into plank pose. Re-lengthen the arms, hips high, head low, downward facing dog. Almost there, guys. Well done. Well done. I'm just going to turn around to show you. Let's do the other side. Pour the weight into the left foot and lower the left forearm to the ground. Relift the right leg up and back. Again, you can have the knee on the ground if you need to. From here, making sure there's no collapse in the left elbow, put a bend in the floating leg, bring it towards the armpit and re-lengthen. And I'm going to show you with the knee on the ground, just as we did before. Re-lengthen. This is already quite strong work with the knee on the ground, to be honest. You can have the knee lifted if it feels good. Inhale, round through, shortening the space. Exhale, lengthen. Good. And the next time the leg is out to the side will be the last. Ground through the left palm to re-lift the elbow. Split dog, right leg all the way up. Put a bend in the elbows, transfer the weight forward, put a bend in the floating leg, step it halfway along the mat. Drop the back knee, use the right hand to edge the ankle forward. Bringing the hands up to the hips, tucking the toes of the back foot, lift the back knee, taking both arms out on the horizontal, elbows. Let's take windscreen wipers for the last time. Arms out to the side, across center. Good. Generous bend in the front knee. Good. So keep going. paying attention to where your gaze is. So most of you, looking at you, you need more space between the front and the back foot. Yes, more space. Yes, that's it, Najla, lovely. And Shahin, more space. Good. And Sam, your front knee is slightly turned in. That's it, perfect, yeah. Okay. Soft gaze. When you're ready, you release the arms forward. Extend the fingertips long, 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 long. Take the back heel towards the back of the room. Bend the torso over the front thigh and step the back foot halfway in. From here, place the right palm onto the chest near the heart or onto the bottom of the chest bone, the xiphisternum, and the back hand on the coccyx on your tailbone. When you're ready, transfer the weight of the torso over the front standing leg. Lift the left leg a little bit or a lot. If you've got a wall, you can use a wall as well. That might help. When you're ready, bend in both the knees, curl in, and re-extend. Play with lengthening the space in your core central line from the top of the chest bone to the tailbone, and then re-lengthen. Cat and cow, bend the knees, curl in, how small can you get? And then re-extend. A few more times. And don't worry if you wobble and fall, that's perfectly fine. Use the breath. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, curl. Almost there. Lovely. Next time the leg goes back, touch the toes softly down to ground. Release the arms out on the horizontal or out in front of you. Let's take one warrior three. Pouring the weight into the standing leg, having a micro bend in the standing leg. Lift the left leg up and back. One long line. Lovely. When you're ready, touch down the back foot towards the back of the mat. Put a bend in the front knee. Bring both palms on the inside of the front foot. Drop the back knee. Send the right foot back to meet the left. Knees wide, big toes touch, child's pose. Hips back towards the heels. And notice how with some strength work and balance and the shakiness and the instability that you can find stability in ground. That suddenly when all aspects, every cell of the skin is in contact with the earth, you can reground and recenter. Breathing out through the mouth if it feels good. Inhaling and exhaling. And slowly, when you're ready, lifting the torso, letting the hips be heavy towards the heels, walk the hands back, just sit up. Lovely. And then bring both knees slightly together. Bring one hand to that tiny bone at the bottom of the chest, the xiphisternum. One hand to the coccyx. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. And we're just going to take cat and cow, curling in, shorten the space between the two bones. Re-lengthen and extend. And as you come up, allow your vision to be soft and peripheral. Curling in, chin tucks, belly to spine. Re-lift. Let your vision be soft and peripheral. So you come back in. Re-lengthen. Imagine the space between those bones, there being a golden thread between the two that you're pulling taut and then slackening. Pulling taut and then slackening. And then when you're ready, with your eyes closed, just relax both the palms, have the backs of the hands on the thighs, palms facing up to sky, and do nothing. Just do less. Do less, do absolutely nothing. Notice how, with this short amount of time, just shaking up the body, bringing in flow and creativity and breath and vision, the mind can just settle in, no longer grasping for things outside of ourselves to feel whole. We have everything we need right here. Let the eyes blink open, shift the weight, let the hips fall onto the right ground on the right or left, and sway both feet out in front of you. Take the soles of the feet to the ground, hip width apart, slightly distanced. Take both palms of the hands behind you. Let both knees fall to the right, through center, left. No big deal, just winding down. Windscreen wipers right and left. The next time the knees are over to the right, rest there. Separate the feet slightly so you're in this kind of zigzag shaped and the feet are not on top of each other. And then lift the right leg, place the right ankle anywhere below the knee on top of the right thigh. If it feels comfortable. Or you can cross over. I've seen someone just do that, that's good. You know, no big deal, like you're sitting crossing your legs. And then roll over the big toe edge of the bottom foot, just like we did at the beginning, figure of four. If this is really strong for you, walk your bottom foot away from you and the stretch will get easier. If it's not strong enough, use your hands to shift your hips towards your heel. And you know where we're going next. Bring the big toes to touch the ground all the way on the left, through center, right knee touches the ground on the right, and then reverses the journey. Easing in, and your hips might move slightly towards your heel, and that's fine, mine are doing that today. And back up to center. So readjusting, using the palms of the hands to shift your hips back if they've moved slightly towards the feet, unravel the top leg, and we'll move straight into the second side. So both knees go over to the left, separate the feet slightly, and then picking up the left ankle, placing anywhere on the thigh, or just crossing over thigh to thigh, if that feels good. And allowing the weight of the top foot to open up the lateral IT band on the right. Using the big toe edge of the base of the foot to bring your figure of four back up to center, walking the bottom foot into the center of the mat. And then if the stretch is too much, walking that bottom foot away from you. If the stretch is not enough, grounding through the palms of the hands, shifting the hips towards the pelvis. One fully felt breath here. Soft gaze. When you're ready, take the tips of the top toes over to the ground on the right, back through center, knee touches down on the left. And we end where we began. Good. And when you're ready, you've had enough of that, bring both legs back up to center. Use the palms to shift the hips back into center, unravel. Walk both feet out in front of you. Walk the hands towards the hips so that you're sitting up. And then take both hands, wrap them around the knees and just fold forward. turning in, turning in. Ever so gently re-lifting the heavy skull back up to center, and then taking hold of both the shins or placing the hands on the ground to ease yourself down into a lying position. Now might be a good time to grab any socks or any jumper or blanket if you want to get cozy for the last few minutes of practice. And then when you are cozy and wrapped up warm, just lying on the back and taking your hands to your shins and just hugging the knees into the chest, and maybe taking ankle circles one way and then the other, but also using this last 2 minutes of freedom and self-expression of Tabir Anal Dhaat, to just do anything that your body is calling for that I, as your yoga teacher, haven't cued today. So you might want to lift your legs up to the sky. You might want to have your soles of the feet reach towards the sky. You might want to hug the knees into the chest and bring the chin towards the knees, really curling into a fetal position. You might want to spread the legs out wide, taking the legs into a V shape for a moment. Just do whatever you need to. Happy baby, lovely Nafisa. Really nice. Get creative. And just, just sort of crinking out the neck, rolling the neck one way and the other. And just 30 seconds of motion before we come into stillness. 30 seconds of whatever your body needs to realign and recenter to the I, to the Anna. And allowing the movement to get slower and slower and slower, until you find that every bone in your body just wants to rest. Every muscle, every ligament can just unravel, unfurl, and make their way down to the earth. And as you find yourself all together, all 40 of us, lengthening out, just allow the ankles to flop out to the sides and become really heavy. And tell the calves to let go of the ankles. Tell the ankles to let go of the toes. And tell the thighs to let go of the knees. Let go. Tell the hips and the tailbone to let go of the thighs. And tell the lower back to let go of the pelvis. And tell the middle back to let go of the rest of the spine. Tell the neck to let go of the shoulders. Tell your shoulders to let go of the upper arms. Tell the upper arms to let go of the lower arms, the forearms. And the forearms letting go of the wrists, and let every finger go. Tell your skull to let go of your brain, and the throat to let go of the tongue. Tell your jaw to let go of the teeth, and your cheekbones to let go of the skin on the side of the face. Just let the skin on the face just drape and be loose, limp, and heavy. And let your eyeballs be heavy in the backs of their sockets. And if you're making any effort at this point, just imagine a little effort meter in the body. And if that effort meter is reading even 1 or 2 on the effort meter, just turn that dial down to 0. Turn the dial down to 0. Do less. Do less. Do nothing at all. Alan Watts talks about a preoccupation with our mind which disconnects us from the wisdom of our body. And the self-conscious brain going on and on and on, asking questions about whether we're happy or whether we're sad, is like the heart, the sick heart that gets palpitations. Manifests itself in acute feelings of separation between I and my experience. And he says, and I quote, "And then, when experience stops oscillating and unfurling, it can again become sensitive to the wisdom of the body, to the hidden depths of its own substance." Where does the source of who I am reside? Where do I really end, and where does the world really begin? Beginning to deepen the breath, drawing more air in through the lungs and letting the air escape through the nose or mouth. Consider that the last few moments of our practice together is the most important, because it's the transition that you make between your yoga practice and your Sunday and your everyday. And the trick is to move and to merge the yoga with the daily routine. So keeping the eyes closed and keeping 70% of the attention diverted inward. Take your body and roll it onto the right or left ever so gently, and take your time, there's no rush. And slowly in your own time, and feel free if you want to stay lying down today, that's totally fine. It's your home, your practice. You can do this lying down. But if you want to roll up and close with me, just gently rolling up slowly, making contact with your body, with the ground. And with your eyes closed or your gaze lowered, just making yourself comfortable in a seated position. And bringing your fingertips out on the horizontal. You can do this if you're lying down still, just fingertips out on the horizontal, and then crossing right arm over left, putting a bend in the elbows, and that's it, self-hug, palms of the hands to the back of the shoulder blades, and using your fingers to find the tips of your shoulder blades, and then dropping the elbows away from the chin and tucking the head down. And maybe just giving yourself a little rocking hug. And knowing that the I, the Anna, the Dhaat, the self, is inextricably linked with your environment, because there is no true separation. And the moment we begin to merge and to see that separation as something that doesn't have to exist, the less alone we really truly feel. And the more unified we feel. And with that, even with the eyes closed, if you like, separating the palms. My best friend gave me this idea, she's here. Spreading the fingers up to the sky, allowing the shoulders to drop away from the ears, and just spreading out the sense of I into the landscape. And if you like, pointing the baby fingers, rotating the baby fingers up towards the sky to really open up. External rotation of the shoulders, and taking some fully felt breaths here. Inhale through the nose, offering everything up, offering our practice up to everybody who could not join us today. Inhaling and exhaling. And then in your own time, however much you're enjoying this, just slowly letting the arms just float heavy, loose and limp back down to ground. And bringing the hands onto the front body, if that feels good, to close in the practice, and taking your yoga practice into your day, seamless into your day. And thank you again to Samir for concept, and thank you so much to everyone who joined today. Thank you for showing up and turning on your cameras and playing. And I bet you all super fancy a cinnamon roll right now for breakfast. Thank you, thank you.